Ladies and gentlemen, a longtime Lubbock police officer is on the line today, and a longtime friend of mine. He was traffic sergeant for many, many years at the Lubbock Police Department. Former Lubbock police officer Ronnie Sowell. Good morning, Ronnie. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. You know, we've had another bicycle accident in Lubbock, and I did talk to you about being on our program and visiting some. How many years were you in the traffic office at LPD?
18.
18. Well, okay. So I guess it's fair to say that you've had a little experience in issues like this.
Yes, and unfortunately, when it comes to involvement with bicycles and other types of vehicles, it wasn't normally a very good outcome.
You know, it's interesting that I've had some issues with bicycle riders for a long time. Not all bicycle riders. We have some that ride on our street. They use their hand signals. They wear helmets. They have little lights in the evening when they ride on their bicycles. But what I want to address this morning and have you talk some about are the folks, especially the younger folks. I see it more in the younger crowd that don't give a hoot about any of the laws governing bicycles. And tell us, before you get started on that, tell us what the laws are. Aren't they basically the same as for motorists?
Yeah, Paul, a bicycle is defined as a vehicle, a non-motorized vehicle, of course, but to put it very simply, the rules of the road apply to bicycles just like they do to vehicles. Of course, there are some differences, but for the most part, you got to stop at stop signs. You got to stop for red lights. You have to signal turns and ride on the correct side of the roadway. You can't ride against traffic like you see so many do. You just gotta pretend you're in a regular vehicle, and use the same rationale as you would behind the wheel. But as you said, it seems like a lot of people choose to ignore those.
Ronnie, are you telling me that basically a bicycle rider that's 12 years old has the same basic traffic rights as an 80,000-pound 18-wheeler?
Same traffic rights, but when you get to looking at that situation there, it's not quite equal. So, yeah, they do. Except, they're supposed to ride as close to the, if it's a two-way roadway, they're to ride as far to the right curb line as practicable. If it's a one-way, they can ride on either the right or the left as close to the curb as practicable. But there's just no there ain't no airbags on a bicycle, Paul.
Right, absolutely. What really disturbs me, though, is I see people on bicycles that do things that are against the traffic laws, but then I see a percentage of the bicycle riders, and I'm not talking about the people who ride for exercise and do it right and wear their helmets and all of that, but I see some young kids. Yesterday, I saw a young kid driving down the turn lane north on Indiana at 50th Street. He cut right in front of me and pulled and rode his bicycle into the United parking lot there. And I see people taking reckless action on bicycles all the time. I've had them, turn in front of me. I see them riding on the sidewalk. I don't think they're supposed to do that, are they?
No, they're not. But there's a lot of things that happen that are not supposed to be. We talked about Paul, about the situation over the years, and I I recalled a few of the major crashes that I had seen involving bicycles, and they're very tragic because, as we said, there's no protection for a cyclist. You get hit by a car going 35 or 40 miles an hour, and you're going to come out loser. And that's why cyclists need to be so prudent when they're riding. And as you said, some of them are just not doing it.
Ronnie, you may be the only police officer, and this is I'm probably stretching it a little bit, but you actually gave a bicycle rider a ticket one time. But I noticed that I see these people do stupid things on bicycles right in front of police officers, and I never see a bicycle rider stopped and get scolded or talked to or issued a ticket. Is it not a high priority for the officers?
Well, I hate to categorize it as not a high priority. The safety of the public is paramount for a police officer, for a deputy, for a state trooper. That's what we're out there for. But sometimes it's just not prudent for a law enforcement officer to get involved. You don't want to become part of the problem. I'm not gonna turn on my emergency equipment and go through an intersection to get to a bicyclist who may have failed to stop for a stop sign or run a red light or something, and inject myself into being a part of the problem. And I think that's it to a degree. A lot of times it's just not prudent for the officer to chase down a cyclist and get them to stop. And
is that the same philosophy, Ronnie, behind crossing a double white stripe? I mean, I know that's hardly ever been enforced in Lubbock, even though I understand that if you have a traffic advisory sign with a white background and black letters, that's a law. Is that right?
That's
correct. Okay. So, but, we see an awful lot of that crossing a double white stripe.
Yeah, you do. But, Paul, and I, back in, when I was still with the department, and, got a chance to address some of that stuff with the Texas Department of Transportation. Some of those double white lines, like you see when you're coming off of the main lanes of the loop, for an example, and you're going to make a turn. Sometimes those double lines are so close in proximity to where you're needing to turn that it's almost impossible to navigate that and not do that. But they've changed some of those. TxDOT has been very cooperative over the years in trying to fix problems that law enforcement. We work real well with TxDOT over the years, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Right. I don't think so.
Well, I appreciate it, Ronnie. I really do. Any advice that you can give, just with the few seconds we've got left, to a bicycle rider? I mean, what should they try to concentrate on?
Well, just riding safely. You can't have more. We used to ride double when I was a kid. Of course, that's a long time ago. We used to ride double. You can't legally do that unless it's a tandem bicycle. Parents need to sit down, especially with the youngsters, and say, okay, we need to talk about how you ride. Of course, I'll be honest with you, Paul, I would be very leery to let a youngster ride a bicycle in Lubbock, Texas, or any other major city this day and age. It's just too dangerous. But need to talk with them and admonish them to ride correctly and follow the rules of the road. And like I said, when you have a full blown vehicle and a cyclist that run together, the cyclist is always going to come out on the short end of the stick.
Not a fair fight, is it?
It is not. It is not. But all too often, those things, those type crashes lead to severe injury and unfortunately death. And that's why you need to be It's just, we talk about motorcycles, a lot of people say we don't watch out for motorcycles. Well, that cyclist falls right into that same category.
Right. Ronnie, thanks very much. Maybe, hopefully you've said something this morning to save some youngster or someone from a really bad accident. Appreciate it very much. Ronnie Sowell, longtime Lubbock police officer and in the traffic office for almost 2 decades. So he's seen an awful lot of tragedy in Lubbock as the guy that was running the traffic office.